So.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We are live. Very good.
Today, I know there are a couple of meditations.
Just trying to figure this out. Ever since Facebook changed your live, oh, I don't have the volume up. Let there be volume. Okay. Ever since
Don't say that, Terry. I'm going to remember.
Facebook changed the live details, I find it too confusing.
Hi there. Hi there.
Too low. Lisa, the frame. I don't know how to do that, so I don't. Interactivity. Okay, where is, so I can see the comments. It used to just be right there.
You should have a little bell.
Why is this? Why is this?
Sally, did you want to ask them about the date? Yeah.
Frame rate to 15 to 60.
The numerology, I forgot. Wait a second. Everybody listen.
Frame rate.
Okay, I had forgotten about that last meeting about the numerology, and you folks that wanted to continue, I got it, and you did email, gave me your email address. I did email you all the papers and stuff, a lot of papers, yeah. And so, I thought you could have that, so when we commence, you'll have everything. But what I needed to do was figure out a time, and so I'm thinking, okay, what's gonna be convenient for those of you that want to do it? And I was thinking, well, we're already here on a Thursday, so that to me means that you're already have Thursdays. Is that pretty much true? Because here's Thursday every month. Right, and so I'm thinking that maybe on the days, other Thursdays, that we're not here, that maybe those would work. Because if you're free today, I'm assuming, which is a big assumption, that you're free most Thursdays.
Well, thanks.
Because some folks could come on Monday, but not Tuesday, and not, it's all over the place. And so I thought, well, this was a safe day.
So we'd be here the afternoon, the second and the fourth Thursday of the month.
Something like that, and, like, I mean, I just wanted to kind of discuss
Where
it.
will people meet, Sally?
Well, we can come to my house as far as I'm concerned, it's fine.
So how
We
many?
all live in Kings Point, right?
How can you make that bigger now?
So, not every single person.
Right.
Sticky
But that's okay. Let's just talk about it.
I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So how many people you're interested in continuing, and can you meet the fourth Thursday of every month?
The fourth or the second, are you trying to?
Well, we can do two Thursdays, or if you like to keep it going, or we can do one Thursday a month, I don't care. I'd like your input because I'm open, but I know, before we all forget about it, I want to come up with
All right,
something.
I'm Marina.
So,
Welcome everyone who's here.
I think
And this is our
second
Kings Point Metaphysical gathering group. We learn together, we talk, we share. No one is doing readings. No one is allowed to solicit readings. So I monitor the chat, which I can't seem to find right now, but I'm going to get on with my phone so I can monitor that way. And today's topic is psychic experience, spiritual or psychic. Are they the same or different? And leading this is Carol Ann Leon-Rose. So welcome everyone.
Thursday's available. Thursday's fine, Thursday's good with you? Okay.
Well, all right, so we could start off then with, like, I don't want to,
Move things around, so try and get as many people
we can
in
meet more often
as
and
possible.
get through it faster, or we can just one time a month and take,
Why don't you do it twice a month so that they have time to process in between?
okay.
Well, and
No,
I
It's okay. I have to leave, so.
I don't like that change.
It's a new face.
Right. Well, this month then, in March, would be the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 31st. So we could, let's see,
One more.
I have company, I just found out coming at the end.
So why don't you make the 10th and the next two Thursdays, and there'll be some continuity there.
All right, so we can meet, if you wanted the 10th, then you like 1 o'clock? Or is that good?
Yeah.
All right. All right, and then, anybody that needs my address, I guess we can't meet at that little, First Watch place, can we? Do they rent that, or do they allow us to meet
First
there?
watch.
Whatever that is, that
Falcon
little
Watch.
Falcon Watch, thank you.
Oh, that's a computer place.
Well, I just wondered, I don't know, I've never been in there, but I wondered if they let us.
I think they closed it.
I'm gonna get on by my.
Oh, okay, well, forget that. We can come to my house. And I gave everybody a card last week that, with my address and everything. So,
Can you, give us your email, because she missed your first class, and she's wondering if she can make up.
I said,
I think she can go ahead, if you could just.
I can send you, yeah, I can send your, it's Sally.
We'll get started soon with the topic. Right now, they're just recapping. Sally was going over, she had presented or led with numerology in one of the groups, and so she's doing a class as well, so she's just recapping. And then we're going to get started.
She was freaking out that she couldn't catch up on what she could catch up, but you're really cool about that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, we'll be fine.
There are people who aren't here who might be interested, but I'm sure you have their information.
Yeah, Daleen, and I was given probably, I think, 4 emails, and I sent everybody that I had the emails for, I sent all the papers. So, we'll start that one.
Announcement they want to make? Okay, I think I told you all last month, I'll be speaking at the metaphysical.
Wait, I have an announcement. I'm here in town.
Yay!
I missed it before, so I couldn't, and I'm the one who runs the live session, so
Yes.
I've got it on here, and if you're camera shy, let me know. Other from that, you're gonna be. So I'm also getting on my phone so I can monitor the chat that way, and anytime that anybody has something to offer, are also going to be asking questions. So when people are talking and sharing here today, I might put my hand up and say, just I've got someone that has a question. So maybe, with whatever you're sharing at the moment, whatever you're sharing or talking about. So just get them in, because this is an interactive group. And so people, Kings Point, attend, and then we have people on Facebook that attend. Actually, we've had people from around the world.
Yes.
So, okay, so that was my announcement.
Okay, so what was I gonna say? Oh, yes, I'm lecturing for the metaphysical group over yonder, March 30th, 10 till noon, so if all of you qualify to come there, I'll be there. Otherwise, you can get it on what? Facebook or what?
Zoom.
Okay.
And they've changed it now,
It's
so
free.
it's free.
Oh,
So
okay.
if they just notify Metaphysical Society at gmail.com that they want to be included in the Zoom programs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can watch Caroline free. No $5 charge anymore, whatever it
You
was.
send us the link then like a week before or something?
Don't ask me, I know nothing about.
The gal
computers,
that
so.
takes care of it will let you know, yeah. She'll send you something, and it'll come from Metaphysical Society at
Okay.
gmail.com.
Okay, I brought some cashews for you all, if you want some, it's right there, you don't have to wait to get it while we're talking. I think that's all the announcements, the bathroom, as you know, is right down the hall here on the left. The subject I thought would be interesting to cover today in our discussion group is, what is a psychic experience? What is a spiritual experience? Are they the same or are they different? So how many people here have had a psychic experience?
Maybe explain what a psychic experience is.
Okay, I will in just a minute. How many people here have had a spiritual experience? So it looks like you differentiate between the two by the fact you raised your hand 2 different times. So I would like to know, what do you consider a psychic experience?
Knowing, just a knowing that comes.
Not necessarily. Now, what do you consider a psychic experience different than a spiritual experience? That's what I want to know.
Choose you.
I get messages from creation, from our universe, from our God, whatever you want to call it. I get messages. And those are spiritual messages. But the psychic is more of a worldly awareness that I have accumulated over the desire to know.
Okay. Someone else, what, you raised your hand for psychic experience, you raised your hand for spiritual experience. How do you differentiate between the two?
Well, for me, psychic experiences are, like all of a sudden I'll hear what someone's thinking. I didn't seek it, I didn't ask it, and it really has nothing to do with me, except I'm standing next to the guy that's looking in the mirror going, oh my God, what a handsome bit up. I have to go, because that really happened, That to me is just psychic, all right? Spiritual is kind of what you said, where you have I might have done some studying and learning, meditating on a certain thing, and all of a sudden there's some message or a situation happens, and I am totally, absolutely in the flow to the point of, oh my God, I had just thought this and it manifested, and to me that is a very, and it would deal with something that I would consider spiritual.
So in other words, you don't get any psychic flashes about yourself, because you said about other people.
Yeah, about, okay, if I have to go somewhere and I get like a vibe that it's not a good thing, or I'll hear a voice and it's more telepathic, like yes or no, that's a psychic experience. Okay, for me personally,
Okay, that's
and
not
I'm at an age now where I actually pay attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, who else had their hand up for the 2 different things? Well, some of you did.
Maybe they all feel the same way that other people have been saying. Could be. I raised my hand for spiritual experience, which for me is just a state of calm, very interior calm, just terrific, sort of in tune with the universe. Psychic, I mean, I have intuitive things from time to time, but I don't know that I'm looking for an inclusive definition of a psychic experience. Because I don't really know what the boundaries of that would be.
Now, that's what I'm asking. How do you differentiate the difference? If you do. Because some people, if a psychic is very, very accurate for them in readings, they think that psychic is very spiritual, which is not necessarily true. So in my opinion, in my experience, there's a big difference between the 2 experiences, because I know I've been in this field over 55 years, so I've met hundreds of psychics and healers, and I know some psychics that I know of who are very accurate in their readings, but spiritually, they sleep with their clients, they manipulate the clients to give them more than the cost of the reading, etc. So the 2 don't necessarily go together, is what I've discovered in a painful way, because I assumed that, anyone who was particularly working professionally in this field would be spiritual, and so it was a rude awakening for me. What I found is that having a psychic experience affects me very differently physically, mentally, emotionally, etc. It affects me very differently than a spiritual experience does. A psychic experience, which I do all the time because I did readings, every week and have for 55 years. And a psychic experience, if I'm accurate and I give feedback and so on, it makes me feel good. I'm happy that I was able to give accurate information to this person, even though it might be negative. I was happy, so I feel good emotionally, I feel good mentally, etc. And I feel that the psychic experience has to do with, words are so inadequate, but like the mundane level. It has to do with, you're going to change jobs in the next 6 months. You're pregnant and you don't know it. Your sister is, suicidal, whatever it is. It sort of has to do with everyday life, etc. When I've had spiritual experiences, it changes me inside. I am never the same inside. And that's how I experience the difference between psychic experience, because the only thing it does is it just verifies that I chose the right direction to go in my life, that I was meant to do this. So it feels good. And it feels good to know that even at, the age that I am, I can still help people and so on. But the spiritual experience leaves me in a state of awe, absolute awe. And I'll give you an example, which some of you have heard. I went down to Virginia Beach many years ago. My children went to the Edgar Casey Camp for Children, which is outside of Virginia Beach. But anyway, a whole group of us went down. And Edgar Casey had said that there were healing properties in the sand. He said there's gold in the sand, which is, he has healing properties. So if you're in Virginia Beach, you should dig a thing and lay down and cover up with the sand. So I thought, oh, good, I'm going to do that. So we waited till the afternoon, late afternoon, so the beach was pretty deserted. And so I got this thing and I laid down there, and a friend of mine, who was an architect, I said, would you cover me up? So she covered me up. Well, as she was covering me up, I could feel like the sand was going between my moving molecules. It wasn't like it was landing on my body. It was actually going through me. It's really interesting. And so as she was doing that, I could feel myself, I began to swirl. In my head, I began to swirl. And as she covered me up here, I could tell her on my head to let me here. As I did that, I swirled out of the top of my head, and I was out of my body. And I was thinking, I was looking down at me, and I looked like I was dead. My face, there was no expression of anything. So I'm hovering there thinking, well, where can I go? I can visit, in person, so I don't want to waste this. My logic point, I'm Gemini rising. So I thought, I want to go to the highest and the best place I'm capable of going. And even as the thought was going through my mind, I could feel myself being pulled. And I was being pulled at a rapid rate of speed I can't even begin to describe to you. And I found myself in an all-white place, just all white. And this voice came from all directions at once, which wasn't male, it wasn't female, it was just this voice that kept repeating over and over and over again. You are all love, you are all healing, you are all knowledge. And it just kept repeating that over and over again. And even though I wasn't there in my body, I felt as if those words were being absorbed into every cell of my body as it was happening. And then all of a sudden, I heard this high, shrill voice. And it sounded like it was a foreign language to me. And I felt myself being pulled back into my body, and I can verify that hurts. That does hurt. And so I was pulled back into my body, and I jumped out of the sand, and I ran into the ocean because I was there with a group of women, actually 13 of us. And I didn't want to talk. I was so high. It was as if I had taken drugs, which, I never did. But I was so high. It isn't that I couldn't talk. I didn't want to. I was just in a state of bliss, is the only way I could describe it. So what happened was this friend of ours who was very high strung and nervous had gone for a walk down the beach, and when she came back, she saw my head sticking out of the sand, and she was running down the beach saying, "Oh, what are you doing?" in a high, shrill voice, and that's what pulled me back into my body. And so luckily, the women I was with, they all understood, because when they said, "Well, what happened, what happened?" And so they understood. So I went back to the motel. We showered, we dressed, we went to dinner. I pointed on the menu what I wanted because I didn't want to say that. I just was floating in this bliss, is the only way I could describe it. And so then finally, maybe 12 hours later, I felt like I could speak. As I said, not that I couldn't, I didn't want to. But I still couldn't talk about what happened. I still didn't want to share that, even with people around me who would understand it and so on. And so I feel that way many times when I'm giving readings or if I'm doing a healing on something. That same, not as high, not as full as I did then, but it changed me inside. And I know it changed me inside. You know, I had absorbed those things. I am all healing, I am all love, I am all knowledge into every cell in my body, and I felt like it was now part of me. And so that's how I differentiate, for me, between a psychic experience and a spiritual one. I feel the spiritual experiences change you inside. The psychic experiences, which I have all the time in readings, etc., changes me in a way that like reassures me I'm, doing the right thing with my life, that I'm helping other people. So, friends of mine will say, "When are you going to retire? You're 85 years old, when are you going to retire?" And I have retire to what and why? Why did I retire? I get such satisfaction out of what I do, and it's easy for me to do, and so on and so forth. So that's how I differentiate between the two. So I'd like your comments on experiences you've had, psychic and spiritual, and see, do you relate to what I just said? Do you feel that something changed within you, or not? Is your experiences different? Because we're all different.
I think for me, the psychic experience would be something that just pops into my head without me willing it or anything. I had an experience going to work years ago. I may have said this before in this group, but I was just driving the car and thought popped into my head, what if we had a cat at work? I said, oh, okay. Might have to get it some food. We have two men in the kitchen and a water bowl. And our lab had stuff that looked like litter. Get a pan of that out there. We were in the bathroom ante. At that time, they had to have couches for women in the bathroom. So we had that. So I got to work, and the other girl in the office said, "You want to meet the new office chick?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She comes out with a cat. Now, there is something that I would call a psychic.
Yes, way beyond coincidence.
Yeah, I used to get psychic flashes from the man I worked for there, the boss. But he wanted me to pick him up at the gas station on my corner or this or that, and I know it. And I think that's where I got that thought from.
Yeah.
And the spiritual things I've experienced involved intense prayer on my part. One was for my daughter, who was really sick with mononucleosis and hepatitis at the same time. And I swore she was dying because she kept going down and down. So I did it like for about an hour. It's really going at it. And suddenly I heard, she's going to be okay. I heard it, And I looked at my watch, it was around 2 o'clock. So I called her later and I said, "How are you feeling now?" She says, "Well, I suddenly started feeling better about 2 o'clock. Okay. And another experience like that was with friends. This is back in the early 90s. There was a recession. 2 of my friends lost their jobs. And I felt pretty bad for them. So I went into that session again with the prayer. And I heard a voice telling me, "Okay, Tom is going to get a job in 13 months and Dick in 8 months."
Oh.
And they did.
Yes,
So then I felt, okay, I know prayers are answered.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So that changed me.
yes. Yeah, now when you had a psychic experience inside, how did you feel when it was verified, like the cat?
Well, it was like total shock. I
Yeah,
couldn't believe it.
but exciting in a way, right?
Well, yeah, it had these things, well, these other things from my boss too. One time I was at home getting ready for work, and I thought, oh, Al's gonna tell me to pick him up at the gas station today. Well, he didn't. Then I got to work, and he said, oh, I almost called you this morning, but it was too early, so I called Charlie. Oh, there you go. He sent me a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
How did you feel inside when you had this spiritual experience result from prayers for your daughter?
I felt uplifted and grateful. And how else? I don't know, happy.
And see, there's a difference going on inside, I feel, when you're having a spiritual experience. Something has changed. Now, you could say on the mental level, on the, psychological level, the emotional level. Yeah, probably true. But I feel a spiritual experience changes you on the soul level, which a psychic experience does not do. A psychic experience is similar to me, to going to school and you learn something and later on in life, something comes up and you use that information and you're like, oh, that's very interesting, I'm glad, So you feel good about it, but it doesn't really affect you on the soul level, is what I feel. And I'd like your opinion, your experiences.
I had one, what is about a week and a half ago. I'm gonna come over here so I can monitor, see if anybody said anything. Now, if I can get down to the floor, but I don't know if I'll be able to get back up, so I might need help.
Gotta have a plan.
Yeah, right?
Barbara and I can hoist.
Okay, all right. So I've always had this thing with plants and in the house, and where I'd be watering the plants and try not to get my back to anybody, which is almost difficult here. And I'd water the plants and it wouldn't happen all the time, it would just happen when it happened, is that I would hear a voice and said, you forgot me. And the first time it happened, I thought, what was that? And then I heard it again, you forgot me. And it was insistent. And I thought, well, I'm watering the plants. And so I went around, checked, and sure enough, there was a plant I had forgotten to water. So I have this connection with plants, not sure how it happened or why or what, but about a week and a half ago, I was went to walk our dog. He's next door at Grandma Carol's. He's big, he's real big. So I went to walk him and we were gonna go down this way. And we went and took our walk and he did his thing and I have a little bag. And there's a dumpster going down this way and there's a dumpster coming up over here on our road. And I was gonna go to the one that way towards the dog park in KP. And there was coaxing, no, go to this one over here. And I thought, well, I wanted to walk the other way. And so, no, it was like, not that, it was like a resistance and a coaxing, I guess, is the only way I can describe it, to come to this one. Okay, so it's all right, so we came to this one instead. I open it up, put the little bag in there, and there sits these 3 tomato plants somebody was getting rid of, and it was in a rectangle shape, and it was dry as anything, the peat moss or the material that the plants were in. It wasn't in a container of anything, and they were just sitting there. I thought, well, I can't leave them there, so I brought them home. That's what's outside the door. And I just saturated them, put the hose on them for about an hour, very slow, just to get the soil all saturated. Then I put them in that container for right now outside there, and they're growing 2 little tomatoes. So that's a psychic experience there, and when you're not expecting it.
A psychic or a spiritual experience?
Psychic, definitely a psychic experience, and it was communication.
Yeah, I think it was a spiritual connection with the plants. and not
Yeah,
psychic.
Yeah, then,
Because-
yeah,
Because you were being led.
yeah.
You were being moved.
I
A
agree.
psychic
It didn't
is
change my
you.
world though. It changed theirs.
Right, right. But I think
They've
that's
been more spiritual experience
It's
for
a
them.
spiritual,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
you
for me, it
saved
was
their
definitely
life.
psychic. It was definitely, hearing. Hearing the communication the same way the first time when I heard, you forgot me. And I had forgotten. And, but that was interesting. They wanted to be saved.
Yes.
Plants.
And they knew you were in the vicinity.
And they knew that I'd hear them, so, so I listened to that.
When it's a spiritual, in my world, when it's a spiritual message, you cannot deny it. Like you said, you didn't want to follow what the message was. You wanted to do your own thing.
I still don't
But
think it was a
you
spiritual
cannot-
experience.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
no, that was
in
definitely
my
psychic
world,
of hearing.
in my world, it is. In my world, when I cannot deny a message, normally when I hear messages, I've had I've had spiritual events, but I've also received spiritual messages. And my messages
But it
are
hasn't, it
always
didn't
for
change me,
someone
and
else.
that's the difference. It
But
didn't change
see,
me.
I don't necessarily think that a spiritual thing has to change you. It may be to change something else, which in your situation was the life of those plants.
It changed them,
It changed them.
yeah,
And
so it was
you
their
were
experience.
You were the conduit, is that the word?
Change agent? The savior. I'm
You
the
were the
savior.
yeah, I was just gonna say, right.
Oh.
And because when I've gotten messages, I've gone to people before and say, I have to tell you. And that my words, my hands are always there. I have to tell you. And it's because I've been dinged, dinged, dinged
By
with this
communication.
message, this communication that
Yeah.
they have to hear. And I cannot rest, I cannot let go of it until it's transferred. And then I don't even remember it.
Yeah, I know, I get that feeling quite often when I'm giving readings that you're talking about, where I absolutely have to say something. And even as I'm being, pushed to say it, there's a part of me
I have
that's
to go,
arguing
but
with it
to
because
the
it
chair.
sounds so, I'm so afraid I'll frighten the person. But I say it anyway, like, this one where I told her she better get her husband to the doctor right away. I mean, I started out saying it much more broad than that. But I had to make sure that she got the message her husband had to go to a doctor.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't call that a spiritual experience. To me, that was part of a psychic experience.
See, I think it was spirit talking through you,
Oh.
even though you were given
But
the
spirit
psychic
and
reading.
spiritual experience is gonna be two different things.
That's true.
Because what you're talking about, spirit speaking or your higher self speaking to you, somebody else who passed on speaking to you, an angel or a guide, that's communication. A spiritual experience is something that happens within you that does shift, alter, elevate your resonating being.
Well, and I understand that, but to me, a spiritual
In your world,
experience
that's the way it
can
works.
be either. It can be a message or an experience. I've had both.
And everybody's experiences are different. We
Different.
all interpret it differently. My experience is that the spiritual changes me inside. The psychic, doesn't, as I said,
Right.
except in the ways I mentioned where I, feel good about the fact I help these people, etc. Another time, the end result was something that I really could call nothing but a spiritual experience. There's a woman by the name of Jean Houston, and she, does a lot of stuff. Anyway, she invited myself and this architect friend that also worked in this field, and to her place in Pomona, New York, to work with her for 3 days on a one-to-one basis, which back then, I mean, what a privilege that was. So anyway, one of the things she did was she put us on the witch's cradle, which is a metal thing like this, and it has a hook here, and there's like a cage hanging from it, and you step up on the cage, and you put your arms like this, and you're strapped in, And then she might put things over your ears so you can't hear, things over your eyes so you can't. So it's sensory deprivation is what happened. But she put my friend Bonnie up on the witch's cradle, and then she had a thing attached to it so she could spin it around this way, like this. And then as Bonnie, and it was slow, as Bonnie was spinning around like this, she was asking Bonnie questions like, what's happening to you now, Bonnie? And Bonnie would respond and so on and so forth. So as Bonnie was responding, one of the things she responded was what she saw a lot of shapes, squares, rectangles, triangles, so on and so forth. And anyway, to make a long story short, Bonnie ended up having a emotional experience in relation to her father, and she started crying, and so on and so forth when that was happening. And as I'm sitting on the floor here watching her, all of a sudden I could see and feel this dark energy come from her lower chakra, the sexual area, come across from her to me, hit me in my sexual area, and go up the center of my body, like there was a tube in the center of my body, is the only way I can describe it. And it went up my body, and as it went up, it got less dark, less dark, less dark. And when it got to the heart chakra, it turned into white. And then it went up through my head, and then out my head, into her head as white energy, and then down through her body, and almost like collecting is the only way I can describe it, that dark energy, and it came. And so it was sort of an egg-shaped thing. And so the energy became lighter and lighter the more this went on, and I couldn't make it happen. It happened to me is the only way I could describe it. And so anyway, she got off the witch's cradle, and then I got on. I had an experience there that was very transcendental. That's one of the words I would use to describe a spiritual experience is transcendental. And then what I found for months after, whenever I would encounter anyone, it could be on the street, they could be walking toward me, and if they were distraught, depressed, really had deep stuff going on, all of a sudden it would start. I couldn't say, oh, I'm going to help that person with this, energy. It would start. It did me. The energy would come from their lower chakra here, and this would happen until they passed by me, and so on. And I couldn't make it happen. I tried a couple times, and I couldn't make it happen. And it just would happen when it wanted to. And so that was another thing that changed something in me, because every time I look at a person now, and it doesn't matter who it is or where I am, it helps me see beyond the mask that people wear because of all these experiences I had with this energy showing that the person who looks the most happy, the person who looks the most gentle, etc., is entirely different inside quite often. So that changed, that altered something in me also.
Did you get a sense that with the cycle that was there, that they were being cleansed?
Yes,
That was
yes,
definitely what crying the whole
Yes.
time, and that so everybody that happens to walk by you or you had this experience, they were being cleansed,
Yes.
and they had not a clue.
Right.
How cool is that?
Sometimes people
Except
would look at me
look
kinda
at you,
weird.
turn,
Yeah,
and see.
I don't know what, it's just weird.
I had a similar kind of experience, and I told a gal, a very aged metaphysician, about it, and she said, "You are a spirit facilitator."
A spirit facilitator.
That's what
does
she
that mean?
said, told me, because of the experience that I had, and it was like I was filtering.
Yes.
It was a filtering thing that transpired that I had to do. I didn't have any choice.
Yeah, it did do.
It was just there, and but she said that that's being a spirit facilitator, so that's what you are.
Well, the thing that happened as a result of that on a mundane level is I became very interested then in the transformation of energies rather than trying to, like some people use protection by shutting out frequencies, and so on. And I became very interested in the transformation of energies, letting all the stuff from people come in, and then through a spiritual process internally, transforming that energy so that even if they're in my presence and I'm giving a reading, I feel like a healing is happening. Not that I'm doing a healing, a healing is happening because I've become so interested and, so interested in transformation of energies rather than, as I said, shutting them out or, doing all these other things with them.
Do you have to do anything after you experience it? I mean,
When it
anything
happens
for you?
spontaneously?
I mean, every time it's happened to me, I have to go hug a tree. I have to find a tree. I was at one person's house once and I said, I'm sorry, I gotta go. And this was for me. I had to release that and have it out of me. And so I went outside her house looking for a tree, and all there was this little teeny thing. And I felt so bad. I went over and I said, I'm so sorry. I have to utilize you. So I held on to the leaves, and I said, please forgive me and please pull the strength, so nothing harmful comes to you. Because I have to hug a tree, and so that it'll release from me. So I was wondering if that's anything, if you feel like you have to purify yourself after.
No, because the purification, as I experienced, was happening inside of me.
Was going inside, well, yeah. But then you put it back into them.
So apparently there's something I assume.
Well, she wasn't doing it, right?
Oh, no, I
No,
wasn't
she wasn't putting it back in them, it was going.
She had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But the
With
thing
me-
is that I think it has to do with the Kundalini, that, the Kundalini was changing the frequency, transforming the energy. So I didn't have to do anything afterwards. Because I wasn't absorbing the negativity and keeping it there. My body or whatever was transforming it.
Yeah, well, the first time that it happened to me was a soul moving forward, moving away. They were imprisoned in their home. And I didn't know until after the fact when I found out what was going on with this particular house, because I didn't know the people. But other than that, all the people that I dealt with were a transformation into me. And then I had to release it. So I released it from them, but then I had to go release it from me.
Yeah. No, I didn't feel there was anything in me that had to be released. Because it was all transformed energy.
Yeah.
I had a very lucid dream, like in the early 90s, and where I've only had maybe 2 or 3 in my life, but where I woke up and I didn't know if the dream was real or where I was waking up was real. And this kind of addresses this transformation of energy or transmutation of energy, in that we were, and my stepdaughter was in graduating, and it was that year of We Are the World, We Are the Children, whatever was going on then, and they sang that song as for their graduation, because that the uplifting swell in that song with lots of people singing at the top of their lungs was huge. You could just ride on the frequency of that. So in my dream, we were in New York City, and all of a sudden I was in a parade, and we were like at the head of this parade, and there had been a lot of turmoil in the city, and all of a sudden people had like guns, knives, whatever, but they were just floating up. People had no idea what they were anymore. We were in such a high frequency that the lower density that holds the energy for what a knife or a gun or a tool, something like that, would be, no longer existed. So they had no idea what even to do with it because it wasn't in their consciousness anymore. And I got this huge, overwhelming sense that, something was actually really happening on the planet with the frequency changing and that everything was going to be okay always, no matter what it looked like. I've never forgotten it as long as I've lived, this whole thing happening with the pandemic. And now I will say, I know there's a bigger picture. And after that, and when I woke up, I didn't know if it was, and I mean, I literally thought, no more knives or guns or none of that exists anymore. The fields don't exist that hold that frequency. Oh my God, it really happened. And I've been studying sacred geometry and all kinds of stuff. So I don't want to lose this train of thought. So after that, I would be, and I had been working with a lot of energy. I had been attracted to Reiki, and that was like in 89 and 90, and there were very few people kind of doing that, but I was attracted to it because it was one of the things where you didn't take on anybody's shit, okay? It was impossible because the energy was flowing through you. Yeah. You're just a channel. You're not doing anything. If you think you are, your ego's involved and you're going to lose it. But if you can be a clear channel for this energy to flow through, it's literally impossible. It just won't happen. You won't take on this stuff. So after that experience, and I was living in the inner city of Philadelphia, I'd walk by people and I'd get a hit. Okay? And I could see them, like there would be some kind of a spark that would go from me to them. And I totally equate it with this dream, this thing that happened to me, so changing your life. And they look like, did somebody touch me? Did I, look around? And I just keep walking, and I'd see a grin, and I finally it just happened. So I never felt like I was doing anything. Something was, I didn't have any visions. I am like been intuitive with what's your name, Sue?
Yes.
Yeah, like you said, you just know. I would just know. I wasn't really visual or, that kind of thing. I just had an intuitive knowing that something was better. And my working with energy became much more clear to me.
Did you find that
teaching.
when you looked at the world, so to speak, after that happened, that you looked at it very differently?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And even today I can feel deep aches of sadness, when there's it's just freaky stuff. I've never met a Russian in my life, and I just flew back from North Carolina, and we've been talking about what was going on. And my seatmate was Dmitry Divinet from Russia. His wife was from Ukraine. He'd been in the country 22 years, and we had this conversation for 40 minutes between Greenville and Atlanta. He had just talked on the phone. It was like, I get these kinds of flows happening where I wonder what's really going on, and then boom, I call them like bubbles. Magic bubbles, which has nothing to do with this other. Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Just like being in a flow. Or
you were given a spiritual gift and you're utilizing that, and you have no idea how many people you have benefited.
I don't care. It doesn't
it doesn't matter, but right. You're doing what our creator, universe wants you to do, and you're affecting people.
But I think it has to do with the resonancy.
I have seen that in you before.
Oh, thank you,
I've told you before that you touch people's lives, and I didn't know what I was saying when I said it to you, but now you explained it, and I understand, and I get goosebumps because you're really truly blessed.
I think we're all blessed. I really do. I just think that it's resonancy, and if you resonate at a certain there's a law in thermodynamics or something. Don't quote me on it. Some scientist has to look it up. But I do know that if you put something that's spinning fast here and you put something slower next to it, it automatically raises until it plateaus with that higher frequency. So I used to tell people that, after the Reiki attunements or other energy work, I probably, like many of you here, I did them all, like whatever, Barbara Ann Brennan's Melchizedek method, you name it, I tried it. But I think that part of it, I would say, look, you don't have to do anything except just be, just think about good thoughts and you're gonna affect the person sitting and standing in front of you in the supermarket line. You don't have to do anything.
Right.
You know, like the mama that's yelling at the daughter because she's screaming and having a temper tantrum and everything. If you just like open your heart and start sending stuff, you don't have to do anything but that. And it has to do with the frequency. And I think if you really get that in a thought form, it works because I'm Mary and,
Yeah.
you know, I have a lot of shtick, trust me, okay? You know?
Okay.
Okay, but anyway, that was what I would definitely call a spiritual experience.
I have a question. You mentioned that you studied geometry,
Sacred geometry.
sacred geometry. Do you know enough to teach us about it?
That was some years ago, you know, when
very
it feels like it was
interesting
yesterday, but it really wasn't. It's like 30 years ago. I mean, we had
Oh.
coloring books and, you know, to color different, you know, Plato's thing, you know, I mean, the flower of life, we were just below Melchizedek. I don't know if any of you have heard of him, but he was just becoming known. He had a bunch of channeling, I don't know what you call it, but I don't think he was from this planet or is. But he really helped us all with sacred geometry in those days. Like everything is mathematics. And if you get into it, I mean, you could overlay everything with this sacred geometry. I don't feel qualified, Sally, to answer your
I
question.
was hoping.
It would be great if somebody did come along
It would be
who
awesome.
really, you know, did that, but we made, you know, dodecahedrons and made all kinds of stuff, and breathing with the star tetrahedron, you know, the Jewish star, three-dimensional, pointing up is male, pointing down is female, and there are three of them, one on top of another, and you get one spinning one way, one spinning the other way, and you do this with your mind and breath work, and then you just kind of take off. And I really think that's what Leonardo da Vinci did, you know, when he drew pictures of, he was traveling in his Merkaba. Have you heard that word? They call the star tetrahedron the Jewish star. And you can picture a Jewish star in like three-dimensional, a Merkaba. Merkaba, body, mind, soul. And that it's a vehicle for traveling interdimensionally, which you can do with your breath. You can put yourself in that state. But it helps to have a whole bunch of people doing it at the same time.
Kundalini yoga,
Yep,
took years of that was awesome.
yeah, and it's the breath work, yeah.
What was your experience with Kundalini?
Yeah, I'm done.
It's unbelievable. I used to do regular and then I started doing Kundalini.
And when you say it,
Well,
that way,
working with the Kundalini energy that
Yeah,
you're talking about.
no,
it's
I
a
was wondering,
spiral.
what did you do? What results did you get? Rather than just saying results and.
Oh,
Turn it down a little bit.
It's a lot
Just
of
turn it
breath work.
to the right to maybe about 2 o'clock.
Gym and working out, just have to breathe so hard.
There it
Seems
I
like it
guess
was
just at the
really
end of Shavasana, I could see God's sacred geometry in my own brain every single time. And so I would just leave my body at the end of the class. And my teacher was just fantastic. She would tell stories and very interesting. And
Now, when you said you left your body,
Yeah.
where'd you go?
oh, I'd go up to the universe. I just all over the place.
Oh, sorry.
Oh man. Yeah, it was just so fast. It was just out there, and I go to the planets. I try to go to Sirius and the Pleiades.
Now, did you see, when you went there, did you see your surroundings?
Just universe stuff and sacred geometry stuff. Nothing, no people or anything.
No, I didn't necessarily, I was just wondering if you had visual awareness, and what did it feel like?
Really nice.
Look at your face. You just melted.
Very,
Yeah.
just a really happy spot.
So was it peaceful, it was happy?
Yes. And she used the gong a lot too. So the sound vibration plus all the breathing and the Kundalini energy just, and then you just boom. And I was just be out.
So what was your purpose in taking Kundalini yoga?
fast forward my spiritual development.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is anyone else taking Kundalini?
I don't know what it is.
And the gong work,
Well,
but I was just doing it for the yoga.
Sally doesn't know what it is. Can you
Oh.
explain it to her?
It's breathing, like, so it's like different yoga positions, only a little bit different. So, I mean, just one of them would be like, oh, smack your head too much. But, you know, you're sitting and your legs are crossed, you go. And then you just get your breath work and your body just started, I mean, it's like a vehicle. You're talking about a vehicle, like, my
Mahava,
and stuff.
yeah.
And,
Call it breath of fire, right?
yeah, there's, and then there's lots and lots of breathing, so kind of get high like you were talking
Yeah,
about.
totally high.
And so it was a good,
You're hyperventilating.
yeah.
It's really oxygenated.
Yeah, and I know it oxygenates everything.
Yeah.
And at that time, I really didn't know this was a brain tumor, and so I think I was called to do this, to get my body
Yeah.
in a knowing of, and to get it in a good spot, so I could deal with everything I had to deal with.
And
Yeah,
it's
but
to raise the serpent fire at the base of your spine.
That in itself is
Sally.
awesome.
There's, Sally, there's energy at the base of your spine, which you know, and it's, the Kundalini Yoga is to raise that energy in a safe, spiritual,
It looks like this in your
controlled
body.
way.
That's what it looks like. Cool. So there's just this, and you breathe from the bottom, like what she was talking about, the sexual organ area, and you take that in and you just, it spiralizes. And I've had it where I can actually feel the spiral like 3 or 4 different times. I'm out.
Are you
That was
visualizing it?
You visualize it, but to feel it is a whole different level than the constant, but yeah.
And an over out of shape person.
Everybody can do this, Sally. Everybody can do everything I can do. There isn't, I mean, we're all born in the same human body. We can all
I
do
know,
all these things.
I just.
It's actually
Some
really
yoga is
good.
awfully hard.
I mean, it's really good for the lungs, it brings oxygen to your cell, I mean, it's not just spiritual, it's also physical.
Yeah, mine is physical.
So you're bringing the energy up in a safe way, while people who are taking drugs, LSD and that kind of thing, they don't realize it, but they're forcing that energy to rise, and it actually can short circuit the brain. And so they end up in mental institutions because they burned out the circuits in their brain, literally.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's one of the reasons not to take drugs, but you can't take everybody, they don't know what you're talking about. But if it raises naturally, it comes over the head, right to the tip of the nose then. And it's a spiritual transformation is what it is. Yeah,
Interesting.
YouTube.
Yes.
And when in doubt, YouTube, right?
Yeah,
That's
beginning, do beginning, because there are different levels.
And how do you spell that?
Kundalini, Kundalini.
Kind of the way it sounds.
Yeah, and everybody that teaches it's all in white from head to toe, and they usually do the wraps. And that's because of the spiritual
Turbans.
level of
Interesting.
all it is.
there's a book, it's been retitled, though, it was called Kundalini Psychosis or Transcendence, by Lee Sanella, who I believe is a psychiatrist, but then he changed the title to The Kundalini Experience, because I think the title scared some people, you know.
Not exactly.
Yeah.
That would scare me.
So he changed the title, but it's a very good book to read to explain Kundalini in layman's language, you know, because some of the books on Kundalini get so esoteric and so out in left field about spirituality and so on. But there are actual physical sensations that you may experience that is explained in that book. Yeah, it's very interesting book.
And mine for Sunday.
I don't remember your name, I'm sorry, do you, your name?
Sue.
Do you still practice it?
You know, I don't because I can't find a teacher here like I did in California. There's not, I mean, there's one up in Tampa, but it's a long ways away. So I haven't done it since I moved here. But it wouldn't hurt me to get going on that again.
When was the last time you did it?
Year and a half ago.
So you can't do it yourself?
Oh, I could, it took so long after I moved here during COVID, I didn't see my house before I bought it, I had gone through brain surgery, I'm all alone. It was a big journey for me just to get here,
That's a
and
lot.
so, you know, I had to put some things aside, but yeah, it's pretty fascinating stuff.
You know what you said though is cool because there really is a lot of stuff on YouTube and you can find quality people. And I mean, so if you were to find something that works, I would come once a week or something and or come to my house. Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I don't want to leave. I have a mattress coming, okay? And I really don't want to leave, but I also want my new mattress.
Can your neighbor kind of hang out there for you?
What?
Can't
No,
your neighbor hang out there for you?
I need
Let
to
him in?
be there to sign and all
I'm gonna
that
come here and
stuff.
sign it.
Yeah.
If you don't mind driving, it's Sarasota or Tampa. Those Kundalini teachers.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to do some of these things. It took me an hour and a half to come back from Sarasota last night. You know, the traffic is just,
It's awful.
wow. It's so different than what it used to be, like even 10 years ago, Sue. And it's getting worse because I find I'm not doing things I would be doing.
One of our favorite restaurants is in
Unfortunately.
Sarasota. Primo.
Yes, primo.
Yes.
Primo, like Italian food. Oh, my.
I got it. Cross your fingers, I wake up tomorrow.
Yes, well, we're gonna hear all about this.
See you next month.
Bye.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
With regular meditation, the experiences that my students have because I do guided meditations and other classes on a platform called OutSchool. And I hold guided meditations for 3 different age groups. And with the older ones, I do ages 6 through 9, 10 to 13, and then 14 and 18. So the 2 older groups. And one of the things I do with them, with a guided meditation, I have them toward the end of it that they're coming back over into their home and they're doing different things. And then they go over to the room where they are and they walk over to their body. They step inside of their body, bringing mind and body back together. And I ask them to pay attention to how it feels as you do this. And so many of them come back and say how they liked it better there than coming back into reality, is what they would call it, and just the differences. And so the younger ones I don't do that with. We don't have enough time. And I just don't know if the understanding is there. So I didn't want to do that with them. But the different types of comments and experiences that they have when they come back into their body is really interesting. They definitely see and can feel the difference. So that hopefully gets them, reconnected to want to be there doing that more often.
If you have any grandchildren or great-grandchildren who might be interested, you want to expose them to this stuff, give them the information of how they can find you on.
My name, and then just on outschool.com, and there I go Marina Naples, Naples, and I hold classes for ages 6 to 18. Even though the Out platform allows classes from 3 up to 18, I just not doing the littles.
What is it called?
OutSchool, all one word,
Outschool.com?
Outschool.com. And I have, I don't know, maybe about 17 different classes because I have the 3 age groups, and then I teach them. I have classes where I teach about meditation so they can learn about meditation itself, and then also classes where they learn about meditation symbols and they can design and make their own to be able to use in their sacred, well, I can't use the word sacred on OutSchool, but in their sacred space. It's because they don't allow that type of, it's secular, right? I always get the 2 mixed up, secular. So, just their meditation space is what I call it on OutSchool. so they can create and use it or just to decorate in their room. And so I teach them about meditation, the history, about the symbols and why they're used and how they're used and stuff. So, but I have to say that bringing that mind and body back together during the guided meditation and the impact it has on the kids is just really brings an awareness to them.
Now, they do this in person,
Online, they're online live classes. So I'll be adding some of my own directly through my own, so I can be more non-secular. So, I have a meditation that I call Rainbow. That's actually the colors of the chakras, and we're using that, but I can't use that word out school.
How long does each class last?
It varies depending upon the age. Yeah. The younger ones, it could be 15 or 20 minutes, and then the middle kids are about 25, and then the older ones are 30, and those are the guided meditations.
Okay.
So, when I talk a little bit with them at first to find out, do you know what meditation is, what the word is? Have you ever done meditation? If you have, what did you do? So I have an idea where they're at. So, and then I explain what a guided meditation is and what I'm going to do, and then we start.
I wish somebody would have taught me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us about your class coming up.
What class is that? That one.
Great.
It's over.
It's over?
Yeah, it's the 19th.
Oh, I thought it was next month.
Oh, the workshop, yeah.
There it is, yes. Oh, how did it go?
No wonder you weren't here, right?
Oh, hey.
I'm gonna offer another one in the fall.
Lunch, yeah.
I'll offer another one in the fall, probably September or October, somewhere in there. Yeah. So who else has had any kind of a spiritual experience or willing to share with the rest of the group? And or, do you have any questions about an experience you've had? I find that people sometimes don't understand the experience they've had. They know it's different. They know there's something in it they need to learn from, but they don't know what happened.
Well, I can tell you about my smoking experience. I was a big smoker. I loved smoking. It gave me great satisfaction and the ability, brought clarity and I love smoking.
Oh, we're not talking about cigarettes, are we?
The other was there too. I was in an organization and I'd gone to a regional conference and I was coming back to my room after breakfast meeting we had, the last one. Came back to my room and was going to get packed and get around and get on the road to go home. And I had one cigarette left in my pack and I lit it up and I was smoking it and I looked down at the cigarette and I went, wow, this is the best cigarette I've had in years. It had that wonderful taste and satisfaction. And I heard this voice, loud, clear as a bell voice that said, too bad it's the last one you're ever going to have.
Oh,
So I jerked my head around to see who was in the room with me because it was that kind of voice. And there, of course, was nobody there. And I said, okay, well, if you're who I think you are, then here's the story. You know, I don't want to quit. I like smoking. So it says in your Bible, turn it over to you. So guess what? You don't want me to have a cigarette? It's your ball field. You make sure I never have one. And that was the last one I ever had.
No more desire for one? Really?
One time, one time, the phone rang and I answered it, trying to answer a question for somebody. And as I was sitting there at my desk, I felt a pain in my arm here. And I was listening to him and I the pain, I thought, well, if I go down the break room and bum a cigarette, that'll go away. And I went, well, that's ridiculous. You know, the pain in my arm, that didn't make sense, but that was the only time. So that was it. That was in 1986 or 87. 87, I think.
I had a fun experience one time. I had a physiological psychologist on my advisory board who I was blind. And he approached me, he said, he worked at the VA hospital in Buffalo, New York. And he said, Caroline, I would like you to come and speak to this group of men I work with at the VA hospital. He said, they're all on various stages of coming off of drugs, you know, the drug addicts. I said, you know, Sean, what could I say to them? Because I've never smoked pot, I've never taken any kind of, you know, drugs like that at all, so I can't relate to that. He said, oh, yes, you can, because the experiences you've shared in your classes, like leaving your body and seeing colors around people and having time accelerated and those kinds of things. He said, that's what they experience on drugs, but in a very uncontrolled way. And so he said, so share those experiences. So I said, well, I can do that. So I went up to the VA hospital. Of course, I was younger and thinner and sexier. And so their relating to me was on a different level than I was there for. But very soon, as I began to share my experiences, I shared the one from Virginia Beach and many others, and so on, they really opened up and shared their experiences, and a lot of them were very negative experiences because when they were taking the drugs, they were taking them, many of them, because of, you know, deep depression or deep anger and, you know, upbringing they had, whatever their reasons were. So they were taking the drugs in a negative state. So of course, that's the experience they had when they went into these altered states of consciousness. So I taught them how to do relaxation and how to do meditation and, you know, that kind of thing. So that was a very, very interesting experience for someone who never had taken a drug and thought, I have nothing in common with them, but everything. And when they told me how they could see auras, you know, how they had left their body, how they had encountered a level of reality where it was horrible and, you know, so on. And some of them did have very transcendental experiences, though. Some of them had very spiritual experiences that changed their life and made it easier, they said, to get off the drug they were on and so on. So it was a very interesting experience for me to have. So anyway, I'd like to hear from you all. That's what we're here for, discussion.
Just recently, I don't know whether it was after one of the metaphysical meetings or something, one of my neighbors was very sick. And she wouldn't go to the hospital. She had had with her doctor on. And on Thursday night, Friday night, I stayed awake worrying about her. And she's 65, she's not my age, but Saturday afternoon, I got dressed and in the car and went over there. And said to her husband, she needs to go to the hospital. She'd been retching and throwing up and went for a week. Her husband, who is in the medical field, and I think she would have died that night if I didn't. He got her dressed. He literally carried her to the car. She's a tiny little Colombian girl. And I was blaming it on to the husband not taking her. And he said, Mike said to me, she won't go. And she was curled up in the couch like a little. So I got her dressed and we carried her to the car. And Mike, and she came home, she had COVID. She didn't realize it.
Oh.
And she came home that night with new medication. And her husband texted me back, God bless you, Pauline. But what made me go into somebody else's house and do such a thing? I would never think of doing anything like that.
But you had to do it.
I just, you know, I just had to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the other night I came home from Ruskin after class and there was a truck in front of me. and he was going like this and like this, and so I stayed way back from him, and I thought that truck's gonna hit another car. And don't you think, he went right into the left lane, hit another car. And I predicted it, 2 minutes before.
Yeah, that's called precognition.
But there was no way I could stop it.
Right, yeah. Yeah, whether you get it 2 minutes in advance,
It was horrible, it was horrible
getting
watching.
information from the
It was
future.
a flatbed back. It was horrible watching him on the road going like this, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah,
But, for the 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes that I watched him, I was in a panic almost.
mhm.
And of course, then I turned at South Pebble and went home. But he hit the other car, but not bad enough, so I think the other car did finally catch up with him, or
Yeah,
never thought.
Isn't that though, your angels giving you information
I don't
and
know, what
you're
would you call
listening?
that?
I don't like to give away my power to other beings. I mean, she has psychic ability, as we all do. And she has intuition, as we all do.
Is that
So
intuition?
I think that's
I'm
her.
calling that intuition.
Is that intuition, or is
You're
that
getting a
psychic, or
message.
spiritual, or,
You had a feeling about it, right?
so that's intuition, isn't
So,
it?
no, that's psychic. Psychic is of the senses.
Yeah.
Psychic is seeing, hearing,
No,
feeling,
I had a
smelling, and
feeling
tasting.
about both of
So
those
that was
things.
psychic. Intuition is an instant knowledge. You didn't see anything, hear anything, feeling, that's it, you just know it. That's intuition. That's the difference between the two experiences.
Can't happen at the same time.
Oh, they can happen, oh, absolutely, yes.
Would be like me sitting here right now, and I just know that my dog has to go out and go to the bathroom, or he's getting sick, or he got hurt over there, and I have to run over there, and that, whatever it is, happens. That would be like instantaneously knowing it. There's no reason why I would think that. I took him for a walk before he came in. He's over there with water, air conditioning, the fan's on, he's fine. But it would be like, oh my God, this happened, and I rush out to go over and take care of it.
And that would be a psychic,
That would be intuition.
that would be intuition.
It was instant knowing. Quite often, people who have a lot of intuition and maybe not so much psychic ability, although most of us have both, have gotten a bad rap all their life because they have been referred to by people who know them as know-it-alls. Because their language is, I just knew it, And so they get a reputation of being a know-it-all quite often and criticized for that, not realizing it's their intuition, and other people don't realize it's their intuition.
Charlie says it a lot. I just knew it. And just,
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, we'll have to pay attention to Charlie.
Yeah.
What would it be if you just hear somebody call your name? Clear, distinct,
Oh, that
loud,
happens to me.
and sometimes it's someone I know that, either is in my life previously or whatever. They just, as clear as day, they're calling me, and
It's called clairaudience, which is a French word that means clear hearing. You're hearing psychically.
but there's nothing that follows it.
It's like
No.
the plants that were inside the
I'm
dumpster.
same thing.
There's nothing that
No.
follows it. It's
I-
just a startle. It's like,
Yeah, every so often, my husband will say Sally, and it's his voice that says,
And
and
then
then it's like,
startling
yes.
could be
And nothing else.
you
but it's clear
disconnecting
the bell.
to that, but you weren't expecting it, so somebody or some type of being or somebody that passed
Attention.
could connect to you, but then you're startled, you break that, you become more in the aware
A
physical.
thinking mode.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it might be the person is thinking of you, or maybe even talking about you, to someone else. Or,
but even if you don't know who it is, I mean, there are times that it's just my name, and I don't, it's not a
I
voice
know
that I
who mine
know.
is,
No,
but-
sometimes I don't know who it is. It just is clear as.
some people say that that's your higher self calling you, getting your attention. That's what some people say.
So then what do you do with that? I mean.
Yes.
Well, you have my attention now.
Yeah, I get my attention, say something and no.
What do you want?
I had a best friend growing up in school, and when we were in junior her and I, for about 8 months or so, we would walk home. We wouldn't speak to each other about it, but we just knew that sometime that night, before we went to bed, either she was gonna call me or I was gonna call her, and we were open to getting the message so we could pick up the phone before it rang. And we were able to actually do that
Yes,
some of the time, not
Yeah.
all the time, but
yeah.
that was cool.
I have that with my granddaughter, Marina, because I'll be sitting, when I go up to Buffalo, I'll be sitting there thinking, oh, I would love it, this special coffee drink that she gets. I would love to have one of those. And doesn't she show up with, she's got one and she brought one for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that quite often. When she walked in the room one time, no, we were on the cruise.
When I have to call her?
Whoops.
We were on the cruise and
Oh my God.
she walked in the cabin. I said, Marina, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
And she said, no, I'm not. I said, oh, yes, you are. And her period didn't come and she was pregnant.
That happened with me was, I was a foster parent and I had a baby. She was just about a year old. And one day the mother showed up and I took a look at her and the same thing. She came to the door and I looked at her and I knew immediately she was pregnant. And so I told the social worker, I said, do you happen to know if blah, 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 maybe, maybe, well, what makes you think, I don't know, I'm just thinking. Because I can't tell her I had a psychic flash, So, but it turned out, she said that no, and then she had to meet with her, I think it was another couple days after, and she called me back, she said, how did you know that?
I just knew.
Well, that's what I told her. She showed up here and I said, for some reason, she looked pregnant to me. And I mean, this was the beginning stages of being pregnant. And I said, I can't even explain it. I could, but I couldn't explain it to her because she might not understand.
Yes. Sometimes I like to startle people though, who look so uptight and so, I don't know, conservative or something, and I'll say something like that, and well, because I'm psychic, that's why. You're so rattled, they don't know what to say. They invite me to say it, is what I feel.
Okay. Now, I had an experience with a friend who was going to be going back up north in a few weeks. And he didn't feel too good, but he was gonna wait. And I went to their house one day and I was sitting there with his wife and he was outside trimming a bush right outside. And I looked at him and I said, oh my God, he's only got a week to live.
Oh, my.
He looked a little pale and wobbly, but not like he was gonna fall down and die. But I told his wife, I said, you better get him to a doctor. Look good. So finally he did go. Turned out he had pancreatic cancer.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
So they were able to do a Whipple surgery, which is taking out parts of the liver and pancreas and I don't know what else, just all in that area. He lived another 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just knew.
And he wouldn't have if you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and his doctor, when he got to the doctor said the same thing to him. You got about a week to live, you need surgery.
And you're saying you knew it?
I know it.
Yeah, so that's intuition.
That's intuition.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, listen to your language and then you'll discover, what you use most of the time. Like, I know I use, I see what you mean, because and in my readings, I get a lot of visual, or I have a feeling about that. So those are about equal. Probably in a reading, I get equal amounts of seeing and feeling, very little hearing. Actually, the hearing occurs when I autograph my books, and it's like I'm taking dictation. I have someone has a message for them, and I just write it in the book. But hearing for me is very low. Now, many of you, I imagine the hearing, you hear a lot. So we're each different. And in fact, in my lecture at the metaphysical, I'm going to be showing people how to look at your writing and know whether you're more visual, feeling, or, you get it through hearing, whether you're a healer, are you a long distance healer,
do out of the body experiences, it all shows in your handwriting. Because it isn't really handwriting, it's brain writing. And the brain knows everything about you and records it.
I just saw, I was going through old documents on the computer and I just saw that sheet. I opened it up because I thought, what is this? And it was your sheet that you handed out for people to write on for that class that you did before.
Yeah.
I thought, well, isn't that amazing? I don't know where I still got it. Are you gonna do that again?
Depends on how much time I have, because I want to show all these different things in the handwriting. So if I have time,
So what's gonna happen, they're not teaching handwriting in schools anymore. How,
I know.
what's gonna happen?
Seriously, yeah.
It's a,
I think they're going back to it. They didn't teach,
are they?
they didn't teach cursive for quite a few years.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Some never stopped,
Terrible.
but some
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Yeah, but I think they are gonna institute it back again.
Do you remember when Mario went in the hospital and he had to get that triple bypass? And this, we were all in the ICU and you and his one son and Jean Marie left the hospital and you were wanted me to go with you. We're going to get something to eat or something like that. And I said, no, I'm going to stay here. And he kept saying no. And I kept saying, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay. And I just knew I shouldn't go or I wasn't supposed to go with you guys. And so I stayed there and I was watching him and setting aside some of the information, but the main part is that I was watching the monitor and I told the nurse of the ICU, I said, something's wrong. I said, it shows on here and that the fluid that they drain out of the cavity. I said, it looks like there's too much blood. And she said, no, that's fine because usually after and there's, it comes out because they put fluids in there, some solution or something like that. And I said, but his blood pressure something's not right. And I kept telling her this and she said, and she'd look, oh, no, it was fine. And then she'd go back to doing whatever she was doing. And I just kept it this feeling, just knew, I think maybe everything kicked in. And then I looked over there and I'm watching, his blood pressure was 60/40.
Wow.
And I told her, I went out again, and I said, you have to do something. You have to have somebody come in here. If you're not going to do something, something is wrong. You have to get somebody in here. She came in and looked. Well, all of a sudden, she's over there, and she's calling stat this, stat that, and everybody's rushing in, and they're pushing me out. So he almost died.
Yeah.
And if I had gone with you, he would have died because that nurse was not listening to me, and she wasn't seeing the very concrete signs that there was something wrong, and he was going down. What had happened is they nicked an artery vein inside, and they didn't catch that, so he was bleeding out, and he would have died.
Internally, and it was during the full moon.
Yeah.
And I always tell people never have an operation during the full moon because the bleeding increases, and so on. So
By the way, do you know that yesterday, 2/2, we had a new moon and the sun and the moon were at the same degrees and Jupiter was like within 2 degrees of them.
Oh, so what does that mean?
Well, it means it was supposed to be a good day and anything you wanted to accomplish, anything you wanted to put into motion yesterday would be good. You could move forward, and I don't know what else because I didn't look it up.
A lot of interesting things are going on with the planets, right? I'd have to say over the last year or so, that just really the alignment of planets, and when so many were in a row, and then we just had 4 planets were in retrograde at the same time.
Yeah.
And just a lot of odd things.
Are over with right now.
How long do they last? Because I've had lots of goofy
They
things
are
going
different
on.
things. They're different.
They're different.
Return around once in retrograde.
And then the alignment of
Sometimes it
when
doesn't affect
the United
anyone.
States was like from 1776, that was coming back into play again. And so there's
I remember.
because the cycle is repeating. Is what it is.
Sometime, first of all, for this year, the truth shall be known. That was one of the things that's coming out. So all these things you're finding out about people, famous people and stuff, this is all planetarily in place for this.
Yeah.
This is a numerology, this is a 6th year. And so we're working, right? We're studying.
Healing,
And it's trying to get it back together.
but it's like I said in the little class, it has to be exposed before it can be healed.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's all kinds of cool things going on, but it's a slow year. It's a workable year. You gotta put that energy in to get anything out this year.
So it's gonna be exposed this year, so things are gonna be exposed this year. Is that what you're saying?
Closed,
Exposed.
exposed, yeah, exposed.
Like in regards to who or what?
Well,
All the politicians, all the rich
A lot of
people,
government
they're coming out with new, improved medicines and different things, finding out different things, about science and
So discovery.
there's all kinds of stuff going on this year. This year, it's just.
I feel so driven lately.
Right, but.
You see what I
it's
post on
slow.
Facebook, it's just, I'm just constantly going.
It's a slow process. I mean, it's not something that, okay, I want to do this and it just happens. You got to work at it. This is the year to work at it and plod along and you will see good results.
Well, that's encouraging, because.
It's like pulling teeth, man.
Overall, after last year, this is a good healing year.
Yeah, but if you know those cycles, those energies you set up, then you don't fight them. You don't say,
yeah,
oh, what am I
that's
doing
true,
wrong?
that's let it go.
You know, the energies are set up that way, so this is the way the energies are laid out there, so that's what I should be doing. So you work with the energies rather than trying to fight them. And it makes things harder when you do that, when you go against the energies. And I know that because a lot of my readings, I'll say you're in a cycle that, whatever. And so if they wrote a book, then I'm telling them this is not the time to push that book. This is a time to begin to get ideas for the next book, and so on and so forth. And yet they want to go out and sell their book. They want to go out, but it's not the way the energies are set up. They'll work 10 times harder to do that. Not that it won't succeed, but it'll be much harder because they're going against the energies, the way the energies are set up for them.
Now, by the way, can I mention to your audience out there, if somebody's got all this money and they don't know what to do with, well.
I'll give them my address. They can send me a big fat check.
We'll put it in your name as a spiritual center or metaphysical center or whatever. We have this church building in town that's quite large that was sold and.
Oh, it's all
Is it for sale
It's
again?
for sale again.
Okay.
It's a perfect home for a spiritual center. So anybody that's filthy rich that wants to invest and have their name on a building, be sure and get a hold of it.
But they're asking like an astronomical amount
Well, of
more.
course, right now,
Well,
yeah.
let me think.
Oh,
Now, that's only
I thought it was
hearsay.
4.4
That's
million.
only hearsay.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know
You can
that,
offer them anything.
huh?
You can offer them anything.
That's absolutely right. And
They
then,
couldn't
we're supposed to
They couldn't
have
make
the
a school
center
out of
here.
it. Yeah, they couldn't make a school out of it. so
They had all these
again.
great plans, but then for some reason they decided to
Because Hillsborough County
They're going
doesn't
somewhere else, I
apply the
guess.
permit.
Well, there was something about our little town down the road from us. There
My
was,
mama.
well, I wasn't gonna mention it, but this community of this community of God-fearing people were all buying property out there or trying to build up a community so that their whole area was theirs.
Uh-huh.
the people that bought this church, and supposedly they was gonna use this for
Well,
an
they're
educational.
brought Jews from New
Educational
York,
center,
yes, yeah.
Well, we're on national, around the world kind of
Global right now. Yeah.
global.
Live on
market,
Facebook.
So we don't really wanna stir up anything. Anyway, and I heard, conversations from people saying that it was not working out for them the way they anticipated. So that might be another
sense.
reason why they wanna.
Touching on that a little bit is that you have now is you have woke and awakened, and so, and I don't want to get political. I don't want to talk about politics or anything like at all. But there is so much. I just want to touch on how this woke society and what that is not. I say not connected with. That's more of this world than the awakened. Or awakening, which is more that psychic, spiritual, that metaphysical part inside of us. And saying those two differences, I'd say everything that's been going on, and go back with the planetary alignments and different things going on, is that over the last few years or so, but more intensely lately, is that people have shifted. Their awakening aspect of themselves things have shifted, they've elevated. And I go to like the thing with the 100th monkey idea, is that one monkey, until you get to that 100th monkey, and all of a sudden it is a unified existence of knowledge and just of existence. So I think that's what's happening, still going on, is that, you were talking about somebody getting sick and taken to the hospital. So this is contagious too. And this is a good contagious, is that how we are touching others and elevating in psychic or spiritual experiences, people are having more and more. They're just tapping into, and they're tapping into that inside part of them that knows the truth, and what they're hearing or what's going on isn't the truth for them anymore. And it doesn't matter what, whether it's politics, health, or, being able to go in somewhere or not being able to go somewhere, or going on a cruise or not a cruise, and this store or that's whatever, and the kids in school. So I think that people it cracked open something.
Well,
We're going into the Aquarian age.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's completely different than being in Pisces.
Yeah.
That was where Jesus lived. That's where all the things that we've been going through was in Pisces, and now it's in Aquarius.
So it's been a traumatic birthing.
So there's a difference in our whole being and our whole life.
And it's shifting very fast.
Center?
Yeah.
Yes, it
We
would.
really gotta put our minds to that.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
Intention.
Well, Creative Community Institute is a nonprofit organization, so if anyone wants to donate, feel free.
Okay, I'm not seeing any comments on there. I don't know if people are not commenting, or because
No
of
questions?
nothing, no sharing, no questions or anything. And so I don't know if it's because the way that the live dashboard is, and I'm not understanding it, but I went over and I added 2 things. I've asked, what experiences have you had? And I asked if everyone can hear me, and I haven't heard, but although I see people that are watching, the numbers go up, the numbers go down. So I know people are tuning in and watching what's going on. But if people are writing and typing in, and putting things in, I'm not seeing them. So I don't want to think that anybody's ignored. I'm going to turn this around to me, because there are 8 notifications here, and I don't know if it has to do with,
Yeah, out the door.
Are you having a stroke over there?
no, okay, all right.
What we were talking about, don't you?
All right, so I just, we got about another 20 minutes left here for this one. We meet once a month, and while I'm in town, which is I'll be here through towards the end of May. I'll do the live sessions, and then I'll be back for November, December, and then we come back in January. So I'll be here February through May to do it. To do Eric. Nobody else seems to know how or can do the live, so it's on me. But yeah, not a good look from way down there. Okay, so got about another 20 minutes left. If you have questions, you want to add something, you want to ask. Oh, okay. Somebody said I can hear you perfectly. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate that. All right, very good. Okay, so Kathy Palvino just typed in and said I can hear you perfectly. So.
Kathy, as you know, those of you who call my office for reading, she's my assistant.
All right.
She can hear us perfectly.
Yeah.
Tell her to find some of that New York money to get down here.
Yeah, all the folks from New York are moving down there and bringing money with them.
Who else would like to share any experiences or questions about any experience?
We've been discussing. So just want to.
Let me ask you this, what do you want to talk about next month? I did do a whole workshop on that one. Okay. Yeah, that's right, that, you wanted that. Yeah, I did. You asked, I'm telling you. What would you like to talk about next month? Any suggestions?
Dreams, healing, crystals, you got,
Dreams would be interesting.
What is dreams? Dreams?
and the silence is deafening.
Yeah.
There's so many topics, it's like, do we have experts in
Past lives.
anything, or?
No, it's not that we need an expert.
No,
We don't
no.
need an expert.
Past
We just
lives.
need the-
Well,
we
it's
wanna
a guy,
discuss
somebody that knows.
our opinion, our
Any of the
knowledge.
things.
Well, like I was at, we just had a lady yesterday that spoke on herbs. And it was wonderful, but healing, herbs, spices, all of that, it was really interesting, so, I learned a ton from that.
Why don't we go around the room? I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. We're getting close to that time here. I'm sorry. Why don't we go around the room and just say some of the things that have drawn us into this, these fields, this field, and then what sparks our interest more that, and maybe even some classes or something that you've looked into, maybe you've looked up some on YouTube, anything at all that you've already connected with, and maybe we can do is get some ideas that way for some meetings going forward or gatherings going forward. We'll start with you.
Sure.
Okay.
And it would be helpful to me as somebody who, this is only the second time I've been here, to have people say their names again.
Oh.
So I'm Barbara. I was married for 20 years to an astrologer.
Oh.
And she died, and I've been with somebody else who thinks that it's all poppycock. And so I was drawn to, I didn't know about you guys, so I was doing groups one night on next door. I wanted to be I needed to hit with people, like-minded people, because I feel spiritually, psychically bereft, because almost none of my friends believe in this. And a friend of mine who has just died, and I came to your class a couple of years ago over at UCC. And so it's really to find like-minded people, and I'm still very interested in all of that. Astrology, psychic things, the whole nine. I'm a psychologist by training, and so for me, sort of the psychology and spirituality connect in interesting ways. So I'm here to just take it all in and be with other people who don't think I'm nuts.
Oh, great, thanks for sharing that. You are not nuts. Okay.
We know what you're talking about.
Oops, let me see if I can, there we go, okay.
I would say the same goes for me. I'm open to anything because, I don't really know a whole lot.
What drew you to the field, these topics?
I'm gonna say, my daughter who, we recently, within the last couple of years, have really connected, and we were quite distant, for a number of years, and she's gotten into, the Reiki, and, we're even having some experiences where I go to text her something, and that just popped into her mind too. We're getting some really mind connection going on. So I would say she's influencing me and giving, she's sharing her knowledge of crystals and affirmations and following my personal new moon. So I'm open to everything.
Okay, so you have a telepathy connection.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, great.
The beginnings.
Thank you. And Sue?
My name is Sue, and I've been in this for a very long time, from a very young age, I believe. And then I went into nursing and occupational therapy, and was a massage therapist and a Reiki master, and did Kundalini, and just have been on a search for constantly answers to what? I don't know sometimes, just always searching and seeking and looking, probably everyone here. And you almost think that you're looking for some kind of answer, but then you just find more answers ahead, so it gets frustrating that way. But I'm open to anything and anything, any and all possibilities. And trying to connect with people like-minded, like Barbara said. I don't find like-minded people out there very often, and you don't talk about this stuff without sounding crazy to some people. So
True.
It's just better to keep that in and find out people in groups like this and come and have an awesome day. So.
Okay, thank you.
I wrote down a couple, spiritual healing, precognition, Kundalini, and reincarnation.
Okay. So we all know how you got into this field, and what you do is.
Yeah, I keep on my story.
55 years worth.
Yeah.
If you don't, you can go on caliaros.com.
Always a good topic. Edgar Casey, anything Edgar Casey. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So go ahead,
Speaking of Edgar Casey, that's what got me.
what is your name?
Oh, Sandy Greco.
Sandy, okay.
That's what got me interested in metaphysics. Because before I read about him, what he was teaching and saying, I just thought life was just random. We were thrown down here, had nothing to say about it, and we were just getting kicked around for nothing. But after I found out about reincarnation and read what he said about it, everything clicked, made sense.
Oh,
yes. And I could talk about him anytime.
Okay.
Well, my name's Vicki, and I don't care what we talk about, but just keep in mind that I'm a collector of crap, and I have a computer full of all kinds of gemstone, essential oils, any kind of subject practically that you can think of into life. I'm getting ready to do that again. So anything you have, I have all kinds of paperwork I can share with the group, and whatever topics you want, just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Sally. I got into this with mainly Edgar Casey was my number one interest, and numerology. I started studying that when I was like 27 or 6, 26, like that.
And you presented here, and I was supposed to be in town here, but couldn't be here to be able to do it live. Yeah, so I missed that.
I find there's so many topics, Vicki and I are always working together because we try to come up with programs to make it interesting. She does, and so, I always felt like somehow I'm meant to heal. I don't know how, but I would like to explore that more. That would be something, because a lot of you guys already are already healers, and I want to find out, do I really have any talent for that, or how do I develop it? That would be interesting to me.
I can tell you that we had a class one day and we had the, what's it called? The thing you do.
Psychometry.
Yeah, psychometry, yes, thank you. We had psychometry, and I brought some little trinkets in for people to try, and Sally did the best
Ah.
Nice, Sally.
of anyone in the class.
I did?
Yeah.
Not surprised.
I don't remember. Must have my altar something. There. I don't remember it.
And Pauline,
Thank you.
you're up, Pauline.
Pauline, I live in Sun City. And first I want to say Vicki was the president of the Metaphysical Society and really put the whole thing together for many years. And she has knowledge about anything and everything and loves to share it with all of us. But she's some super lady to me. And I'm more interested in natural healing. I don't believe in prescription drugs. I believe they kill us instead of cure us. And I've been into, taking vitamins and trying to heal my body naturally since I was 18 years old. I had found a doctor. I'm more or less a natural healing. Otherwise, I've worked all my life taking care of everybody else but myself. So this is the first chance I have to take care of me. So, but I love this group, and I just think the metaphysical group I've been going to since I moved here permanently for 3 years. But I've met, I think without the girls in metaphysical, I would have had a worse time through COVID. But between all of us not getting together but talking, I think it really saved my life. The girls in metaphysical are also wonderful. And we're hoping that the $125 gold card is going to be voted down in the next meeting.
Oh, that would be nice. Good.
Please.
Yes.
But keep in mind, we meet 52 times a year. And I always tell people, when they go in, we take a love offering. They put in $5 in the pot. If you want a gold card, just put in $2 or $3 in the pot and use the other towards the
Only
gold card.
70 cards were sold. And I've been hawking the board on this for a year, every board, because I go to every board meeting every month. I've been hawking them for it. Now that we have a new board, I think there's a chance of us, them taking it off. I really am going to mention to them that I think that the boards of Kings Point, the Towers, and Sun City Center should have, I don't know if you call it a summit, but to get together so we can be more of one community instead of 3 communities. But I go to all these Sun City meetings. That's why the Sun City meetings are at 9 o'clock and
You're
the
losing.
metaphysicals at 10 o'clock, so I get to metaphysical late.
It's the worldly.
I'm Lucy, so I don't know what that's all about.
What is your first name?
Loretta.
Loretta? Okay, so Loretta, you're up.
I was just curious what we're talking about because I'm new here, so I don't know if it's 2,500 or.
It's a gold card that Sun City Center
To join
put
the
into
club.
effect last year, that you can't come to the,
Any of their
standards
activities or
of
their
our
clubs.
activities. And we lost.
Unless you pay $125 for the year.
Oh, you're talking about Sun City. I remember the street.
We did have 40 people from Kings Point in the club. And
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
it.
from the metaphysical group
They
over
closed
there,
many
yeah.
of the clubs because, and they closed the at the club because the president was.
Can we just continue that, because we have people watching, don't have a clue what we're talking about. Okay,
So
so,
what drew you to this?
go ahead.
What drew me to this? Yes. I just retired in 2020, and I was always doing things, working all the time, 24/7. My sister knows that. And when I was younger, I was really into, like, you remember Shirley MacLaine wrote a book, out of body experience, reincarnation, and I used to dabble in that. And I remember when I was very young, I did have an out of body experience. I don't know how I got myself there, but I was actually able to see myself out there. And I just can't do that anymore. With all the clutter that's around,
Right.
you just can't do it. Plus, I've had dreams that I kind of wondered what they were all about, or even the intuition thing. I started when I remember I was younger. Somebody broke up and I said, oh, he's coming and he's going to ask you out again, and they used to think I was like psychic or whatever, but I never had the opportunity to develop anything.
So maybe now you can.
Maybe
So
now I
what
can.
subjects are you interested in?
I'm in the dreams, the reincarnation, astrology. We had a friend that, she read cards, right?
Yes, read cards.
Cards. Did she do astrology though too?
Not really.
See, I had a friend that used to read palms. And boy, was she freaky. I mean, because I remember high school, she would tell me what guys I was gonna meet and what their initials were.
No.
It was unbelievable what she knew. And then, it was a joke at the time, but, she saw my brother getting married, but not having a wife, and his wife died of pregnancy. Having a child, and there was no wife involved. And I could tell you, I'm sure you feel this way too, sometimes she had to stop. I don't know if she's still doing it. I haven't seen her in years, but it has to affect you in some way. When you see something like that happening, and you have to know how to deal with it. And she was so young. She was only like 16 when she was doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm making a
Thank you for
list.
sharing.
So really the same thing. We had the same friend, and I was friends with her since we were 7, and she always had a knowing of some sort. And she read our cards and was on the money, just a regular deck of cards, all the time, just on the money. And it was funny because she would do it also for my kids. They would go to her to just have it done for the knowing. I remember reading Carlos Castaneda's.
Oh, yes.
When I was young, I think he was probably the first, and then it was Edgar Casey. So then after that, it's just been an interest in the metaphysical and the stones, crystals, and just all types of it, reincarnation, and just being interested. I did go for a while to the Metaphysical Society over in Sun City until they switched it over, and then found the group for over here. I was thrilled with that. So
Good. Glad to have you here. So, in here a little bit. Those who know me, Carol's daughter, and was raised in a home where psychic experiences, healing was the norm, and it wasn't. You learned out there with your friends, and some, back in the 60s, is they would be afraid, and their parents would think that's work of the devil and all this other garbage. So raised in it, and I've always been drawn to working with children, and I was a foster parent. I volunteered at a crisis nursery over in Miami when I lived on the other coast. And I was a guardian ad litem in Broward County over there. And I've had about 8, 9 foster children. And then I'm teaching, online. And I've actually, what's all over here is merchandise that I've created and making and selling. So I've got to get some orders out. So I am drawn more to the healing aspect. I've done the vendor shows, and I've done the psychic fairs that you put on, and when I lived on the other coast, I did vend as doing psychic readings. So I can do all of that, but I'm more drawn to the healing aspect, and that just, I'm Scorpio, so that's more of a natural home of healing, doing that. And I wrote a book. It's over there. You have it propped up there with your books.
We'll sign it, and I'll sign mine if you want.
and it's on Norse mythology. I knew nothing about Norse mythology, and I thought, what a great idea to write a book on Norse mythology. No idea where that came from. You know, I'm Greek, part Greek, so you would think I would be doing, you know, the Greek mythology. So I spent about 3 years learning about the Norse myths, and then the book became a series idea, and I started putting that together and outlining that. And I was one day working on it, and I thought, oh my goodness, what's going to get people to buy the series if they're not familiar with the Norse myths, if they don't know what's it about? You know, Thor, Odin, Yggdrasil, which is the tree of life, and everything else that goes with it. And so I stopped working on the book series and started working on what this book is right now, which I published in October. And I think for me, it all blends together because the Norse myths were a very mystical, magical time, and you know the ruins came from it. The stones, the ruins with the different designs on them, that came from the Norse mythology. And there's so much history there about us and what we do and the days of our week and everything. So I think for me, it all blends together, that spiritual, metaphysical, the psychic, the healing, everything comes together. And I think that I'm pulling from past lives knowledge, and also tapping into the Akashic records and helpers also, that where I get information from, because so much of it isn't knowledge that I have just in the waking state. So I like a little bit of everything that everyone has mentioned for topics. I love the idea of them, so I will go along with whatever everybody else would like to in upcoming gatherings, you know, have as topics. So that's me.
So I made a list here, so if you can't think of anything I should add to it. It's dreams, spiritual healing, telepathy, precognition, kundalini, reincarnation, education, stepstones, plant communication, psychometry, the third eye, natural healing, channeling, tarot cards, palm reading, altered states of consciousness, psychic medical diagnosis, spirit guides, angels. We can talk a little bit about palmistry because we've been having classes on it. Oh, okay, yeah, good. We have, Sunday.
I like palmistry.
Oh, so now we kind of know what we're doing. A little bit. That's more than we know. I know, I'm just saying, we picked up some information for, you know.
How did you learn about it?
Well, we meet on Sundays, and
anybody watching too, if you have topics that you're interested in, let us know that too, so we'll add that to the list, because we're really open to whatever anybody wants to discuss. We meet once a month. It's from 1 o'clock Eastern time to 3 o'clock Eastern time. It's always the first Thursday of the month. And while I am in town, we spend about half of the year here in Florida, just over half the year, and then the rest of the time up north. So I am the one that does the live stream on Facebook. And so as long as I'm in town, these will be live. Tune in, ask questions, participate, and just be part of it. So, online community and along in with the in-person community. So we're all just one, really. So just closing up here. You're welcome to, I'll leave it running for those that just want to stay and watch and listen. So that's fine. Thanks for being here, and see you next month.
We're always looking for something, you know, it's fun. I mean,
the way.
and we get maybe 10, 12 people a week.
And you know, Carol Oshman, I don't know whether she would be willing to do like a YouTube, Zoom or Face.
I think I was able to get more people in there.
Whatever.
Okay.
But she does
Get
dream
my water.
for other people. And she did a Zoom presentation with us, wasn't it? The Zoom, yeah. Anyway, and she said that the way she got into it is somebody asked her if she would dream for them. And she said, I never have, but I guess I could. So she had them write down what they wanted to know, and she took it, and that night she meditated and prayed on the question. And then she asked God to give her insight or information that she could pass on
That's
to
something
this lady.
that you talk about doing it yourself, right?
Everybody can do it. Yes, and then she puts the questions under her pillow and sleeps, and during the night she receives the answer.
Right. I heard that.
So she might,
What's her name?
Carol Oshman, Oschmann, and she's moved out of the area. Although I just read her and her daughter's plan on coming down sometime.
Oh, Carol, can you write down the
Plants.
Oh, the plants?
Yes, yes, we're family here. I gave some money to the Arbor Day Foundation a while back, and yesterday the mailman came and dropped something on my door, and it was a package of orchids. I can't plant them in our neighborhood because we're forbidden. We might interfere with the pipes and whatever. I don't know what to do with it. I hate to just let them die. Do you have any ideas?
Well, there's gotta be a park, maybe, or the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, because they do planting and do stuff.
They do.
Well, I thought.
I don't know. Yeah, I hate to just let them die. It's like they're talking to me. I don't want to die.
No, they don't want to die. Yeah. They've been through a traumatic experience of being shipped.
Yeah, from Nebraska of all places.
Okay. So, I would check.
No, don't worry about it.
Are you on nextdoor.com? On nextdoor.com?
Yeah.
Okay. Ask if there is a group or organization that plants trees. I know there are businesses that say they plant trees for every, something that they do. So there's got to be, and so that's going to be a bigger, bye now. Bye.
Maybe I don't want to send them through the mail again, poor things.
Yeah. I would ask around, because I know, they can't do it here. I mean, even if you went over and planted it, on the slide, but then with the weather here, is there certain, are they gonna die because they're not getting enough water?
You've got to baby them for about a year. You got to keep watering and.
That's always things like the,
but when's her birthday?
4-H, the boys club, girls club, scouts, and, things like that.
I could try it.
Yeah, that would be where I would start with that. But I would definitely put on Nextdoor too.
Do what?
Nextdoor.com.
Oh, yeah.
I would say it there and see, yes, people.
You bake a pie. You have a pie and you have company in the house. You cut a little sliver of that pie and you give it to the Aries. They don't care what you do with the rest of the pie. The side, they have to be first. Always. They're the guy.
Marina, how do I put out, what do I do on Nextdoor to reach this?
Astrologically,
With the
she's
information.
the guy in the universe. So you always have to address it, so she.
And maybe you can do a search or something.
Whatever you
I've got it up here.
What am I? I'm unfortunately in,
I see this.
Sorry, I mean to zoom in real fast. On the screen, looked like I was gonna come through the screen there on you. Okay, so let's see if I can get this.
So you're a tourist.
Nextdoor.com, great tool to connect with people too.
Fire.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not doing that, okay.
Yeah. Let's see, I let my husband try.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Fire and earth.
Shopping bag, I think actually that might be
Fire
one
and
another.
dry out.
This is actually, Colleen, and I think you have another one of yours too. I know my mother has something over next door, so.
Did she paint?
Really?
No, that's
Oh. Well,
Okay, Sue, let's see. Looks like I'm just staring at you over here, right? But I'm not, I'm going on nextdoor.com to get some information for somebody. I hope everybody enjoyed everything here. Okay, Sally, it's called Kings Point Residence Metaphysical Group Meetup. Kings Point.
Metaphysical.
Kings Point Residence.
Oh, residents.
Yeah, Metaphysical Group Meetup.
So I can get to that.
Yeah, you can join that and then,
They already, well, they were.
there are 65, you know, there are 65 people that belong to that group.
I know, and that's like,
And where are you?
yeah.
Where are you?
I agree.
Where are you, Mike?
With that, whoever buys it.
Nextdoor.com
They
people?
don't have
Okay.
to pay per-
And that only goes to
And they
those
do
people,
in
right?
the beginning.
I mean, it doesn't go to.
Okay, so I just want to,
Get in.
scrolling down. Just want to let everybody know that's watching, if you want to see some of the other gatherings that we had, the topics and discussions,
The church.
you can go over to my mother's Facebook pages. She has one that is her Carol Amliaros. And then there's also one psychic, Carol Amliaros. So you can go over and look at previous gatherings that we have, the topics and the discussions that we've had. Again, they're 2 hours each time we meet, once a month, the first Thursday of every month. Times are Eastern time, 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Different discussion each time. And we just learn together, as you've seen today. And always a great time. We love hearing from people. Didn't get any comments today, which is very unusual because we usually have a lot of interaction with people. So, don't know what happened this time. Everybody's silent. About leave this going for a while. Hang out with us. Come and hang out with us. There, get you a little bit closer. Okay.
It turned out all it did was backfire because if you've only got 70 people on the house, that doesn't even buy it. Nothing. You know, except a bunch of ants and never. It's never really bad. So.
And they were actually, the original metaphysical.
2 years ago, I paid $125. That, I think that was first year. And
They,
oh wait, maybe
There-
well, anyway, the whole last year I paid for the COVID thing, and I paid, and they didn't give anybody any refunds. Oh no,
in a certain area.
and so I just paid them in January for this year. So we'll see, and they'll probably, there was
Something,
only the metaphysical,
people.
but I'm the treasurer, I'm secretary.
No, they got wind that they were trying to take
And
over and.
I'm so entrenched in the group that it's, you know, I do the Sundays, I do, you know, and I enjoy the company. So.
They're already here.
So I don't know if, I mean, it looks like we could see, but I don't know
Really
if
big
it's maybe for
cities,
kids
and it's everywhere else. We're only averaging maybe 35 to 40.
Oh.
Which is a fraction, it used to be 120. COVID and this.
Like Sarah, time to go.
No, it's just that
It's a shame.
when it gets to about this time,
The sun streams through here.
and it gets hotter in here, so I gotta close that line, these blinds over here.
Because I thought you were very familiar, because I've seen you go past.
So everybody.
Yeah, the only reason I'm not
everybody,
coming is
agreeing
because
on
I
how
want
many
to come
topics
on the
for next
video.
month. I have a whole list. Oh, so nobody narrowed it down?
It's still a small
You have a whole
environment.
list I can choose from.
Space.
Okay.
And there are many people that need that.
Well,
more than one.
that's what I need.
Why have that?
Oh.
So I can watch the video.
And living in the same neighborhood?
Yeah, that's how we.
I haven't been.
I guess they're already told us. Well, they're at the security patrol building.
I know, yes.
Thank you, Carol Ann.
Carol, thank
Figured
you.
out where it was.
I'm anxious to see your presentation.
Okay.
I got your memorial book out again. It's like, darn, I want to learn how to do that. And I went to your class too, and you talked about how to read auras. I would love to be able to do
Yes, every
that.
time you have a class, I'm out of town. I don't understand this. The last workshop.
But I don't get it right.
I was at
you know.
camp, really? That's the only reason I didn't see you. I like to read it like 6 months in advance, so there you go.
Warren has to be.
Well, I think I saw one and I wanted to see.
I never see color.
Well, thank you very
I
much.
don't need it, but-
Thank you so much.
Hopefully.
Thank you.
Oh, good to see you. Good.
Glad to see you here. Got it? Beautiful sunny day.
Oh, it's
Gorgeous out there.
Well, Irina has to walk the dog, I have to get gas.
Yeah, well, I can get let me get the dog now, I'll bring him over now.
Are you going with
Pauline,
Pauline?
Chantel's gonna meet us there, we're going to Hopi's out on 301.
I told her, yeah, well, it's after, I've got a guy, oh jeez.
We probably won't get there before 4 o'clock,
Okay,
cause I gotta go get gas.
all right, well, I'll try to do that.
Alright, okay,
That would be fun. How about you there, kiddo?
where are you?
Oh, I gotta go home and make tacos for my husband.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Okay,
back.
I will try.
Okay.
He's getting ready to go again, I think.
Oh, Pauline, you're still here.
Then I'll be free.
Pauline, I'm gonna try to come.
Okay. Are we
These
going
are
right
the-
now, or are we gonna ready?
Over to Grandma Carol, I have to go and get gas.
Hi.
I go
All
to
right.
I think he was sleeping when I opened the door.
All right.
I had
This is
Did you
sweetie.
walk the dog
This
already?
is a sweetie.
I just got him.
Oh,
I was with the dog for 10 seconds.
All right.
okay.
And Sally, if you make up your mind, I
Those
think
haven't
we
seen, you
come
can
down and pick you up.
meet our dog.
Well, okay, let me go.
He
with-
comes into my dreams, actually. I've had
Or you want me
him,
to leave
all
my
of a sudden in my
phone here?
dreams.
Oh, no, I
He
need
just
to
pops
check
in, not
on
that
him.
I'm
See if I
dreaming
can-
about him, he's
Check
just
on
popped
him,
in.
meet us in front of
And
the
all of a
yard
sudden
before
he's
you-
there.
Okay,
Go check on him and call me back.
all right, I'll call you in just a second.
Walk the dog. You're gonna walk the
I
dog?
gotta.
Hey, I've got to use the bathroom and stuff.
Thank you. Okay. You're not going with us, Marina?
I am, I just need to do some things. I just
Okay.
Wanted to get him over here and we got a close up off of Facebook
Same way
and
from here, you wanna go to your
post
house?
it. Yeah.
I'm gonna take this.
Actually, what I'll do is I'm gonna share this onto your page too, or you know what, Kathy, if you're still watching, listening, I'll text you too.
Okay.
Is that you can share this over on my mother's, the psychic Carol Ann Liero's page and her personal one, because it'll be available.
Very good.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for being here. See you next month. You probably see me early. I'm always, doing something on Facebook
Your
here.
husband to go
For
away,
work.
so you spend more time with us.
Well, he's trying to get